I cannot start this video without saying a sincere, man, I'm sorry to Colton Hunt. The awesome dude that has done our intro videos for most of this channel has let me do my first ever gig of voice acting, because this episode basically decanonized the ever-living hell out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Sorry, Colton.
Sorry, bro. I can hear your head exploding when the time this episode ended. I love you, buddy, and I hope you're okay. Go ahead.
All right, so the season finale, yes, they called it the season finale, is titled So This Is Christmas. As Eleanor meets with Kingpin to break off their partnership, Barton and Bishop watch a recording of them and learn that Eleanor killed Armand and framed Duquesne. On Christmas Eve, Barton and Bishop attend Eleanor's holiday party, where Bishop confronts her mother and learns her father owed money to Kingpin, leading to Eleanor working with him. Kazi attempts to assassinate Eleanor, but on Kingpin's orders, but targets Barton instead. And like for the first quarter of this episode, I was kind of just stuck on the fact that we have Kingpin in the MCU. Like
he's there.
he's just there. It's as jaw-dropping when you take a step back as seeing Matt Murdock in No Way Home.
It's like, and it gets to be this thing where it's like, you actually get to see it now. And I'm sorry for whoever watches this and doesn't agree with me. This is beginning to go on to the same thing of why a lot of people got, what I want to say, whiny about the last Mortal Kombat movie. If their personal favorite characters aren't the coolest thing on the planet, they think it automatically sucks. There's a lot of bitching about Kingpin in this episode. Y'all can shut the hell up.
First of all, how dare you make fun of his getup?
No, his getup is the most Kingpin thing I've ever seen. Have you seen at all what he wears in every incarnation ever? He looks like an absolute oddball goofball every time he's anywhere. Kingpin does not care if he looks good, because he's Kingpin. This motherfucker took things that most aliens couldn't tank and then walked away and was irritated. This is Kingpin. He got hit by a fucking car and acted like it was a flea. This is Kingpin. He point blank, and they, at the end of this episode, they cut away just so they could show that this motherfucker tanked point blank gunfire. This is Kingpin. Everyone shut up with your complaining. I'm not hearing it. Y'all are biased and just dumb if you don't think this is the right version of Kingpin. Just stop it. This is awesome.
I had to put a spoiler warning on my Facebook post because someone in the comments kind of alluded to a reference to the comics where Echo shoots out one of Kingpin's eyes. And I'm pretty sure that's why they cut away.
And again, if this dude tanks feet away, gunshot to the head, this is Kingpin. The walking brick wall. This is Kingpin. But anyway, we skyrocketed through this episode to get to that rant. The husband of all people owed Kingpin money.
That was a twist I did not see coming.
I didn't, and I kind of like that. And they don't ever need to explain why. It was just a throwaway line, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
You know what that does though? It lets Swordsman off the hook.
That was my favorite thing about this entire episode. This whole series, I'm like, man, I hate, but I love when they make a guy who's just too damn good and too damn lovable. And of course, he had to be a douchebag villain at the end. And he wasn't. We actually got to have likable Jack because I wanted so bad to like him. I couldn't hate him, even if he ended up killing her mom at the end. I couldn't have hated him. He's awesome. A good guy swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. He's just brandishes a saber and walks into a party, and he's just like, "Well, time to deal with the tracksuits."
This is actually kind of the opposite of what Young Justice did with Sportsmaster, and it's instead of making him like an ultra badass, they made him a teddy bear, essentially.
They made him a teddy bear who's not afraid to kill people if need be. It's awesome. Swordsman's great.
And then the payoff of his arc is just perfect. But we'll get to the LARPers later.
Dang it! I got blood on my tie. Yeah, the man, they continue to. What I need is a Hawkeye season 2 where Yelena and Kate are together for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because those two's dialogue is never disappointing. They're great.
I love it. At one point, Kate just goes, "Stop! Damn it! Stop making me like you."
Yes, exactly. She's just like, I hate that I can't hate you. You need to stop being likable. You did that cool judo throw thing with this that. And like they go out of their way to show that like Yelena's purposely not trying to kill Kate. Otherwise, Kate would have.
Uh-oh, did I lose you? Is it you or me? In case it's you, I'll keep talking. Yeah, Yelena and Kate are great. And you'll have to edit this part out. Sure.
All right. There's some weird editing here. I had a connection loss, so if I can't purposely sync this in, that's why it went weird. Anyway, as I was saying, they did a really good job of balancing those two out. Yelena was obviously trying not to kill Kate, and that's allowed Kate to get some shots in, and it allowed it to show that, hey, Kate's got some moves too, and Yelena recognized that. So they did a very good way of balancing the books with everyone, because that was a fight where if Yelena was trying, Kate be dead.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, so, and they did a lot of that with, again, we'll get to later with Kingpin, but yeah, she just before they get to that fight, they do all of that and they get out, and they bring back the Imagine Dragons joke. Like, no, thank you. For what? For the good advice of my girlfriend at work. Yeah, we saw Maroon 5 instead.
The funniest thing about that is that Maroon 5, I honestly think, is worse. And that's probably the joke, too.
It is, exactly. She's like, why? Side note, I made this joke with Mike. I was really late on the train for Arcane. Everyone who's not watched Arcane, you should go watch Arcane. It's absolutely fantastic, and I watched season 2 yesterday. The most impressive thing Arcane did was make me like an Imagine Dragons song.
Yep.
Because Enemy is great. But anyway, yeah, it's good. And then the mayhem starts.
Oh, the mayhem.
Oh my gosh. And it's so simple. Like, you had the sniper fire at first. That wasn't that big of a deal. But I love how it's so simple where...
Hold on, before this, we need to talk about the trick arrow montage.
That is true. I was very happy that we got to see that, and how Clint had supplies. That guy had enough shit to start a war if need be.
Yep.
He just had an assortment of Stark tips, all this other stuff he labeled as too dangerous.
That was probably my favorite.
I love how also she had a freaking grocery store label maker these arrows because she would not remember which one's which. Oh, that was so good. Those two, like, and we find, and just like the kid in the candy store moment where she's just like, we get to make trick arrows. We get to make trick arrows. You get to see, like, Kate is such a good, I believe I said this before. Kate is such a good character in itself, but she's also a perfect self-insert. Like, if you got to be that person in that situation where Hawkeye's finally got his head out of his ass and he's acknowledging that you're good and you have potential, it's great.
Speaking of which, the one negative we had a couple episodes ago has finally been resolved,
and it was perfect.
It was. I don't know if they could have done that any better. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Kate finally just tells Hawkeye about the battle for New York and her perspective, where she was, and how she basically, like, she basically said Hawkeye inspired her to be who she is.
Yeah, and the best part about that is she's not even completely honest when she tells that story, but in a good way. Because if she wanted to tell that story completely, one of the biggest things was that he saved her life in that moment. He does not know he saved her life in that moment. What he knows is she went out of her way to not make it about her. She went out of her way to make it about him, that she saw him being brave in that moment where he jumped off the building and all that, to show that even anyone with just a bow and an arrow can do this. And she didn't need to bring up the fact that he saved her life to make it about her. She just made it about him, about how he inspired her. I thought that was a very good touch.
The specific line that she says, like, you know, if that guy can handle aliens, then there's no reason to be scared.
Exactly. He's fighting him with a bow and an arrow. There was no reason to be afraid of this. It's just like, that's true. And it's a really good way to be like, I hear a lot of people that gave crap when Hawkeye and Black Widow were in the Avengers movie. I'm like, you need to have some of those people because that is inspiration. That is showing that people like that are good. Give or take, Batman's got a lot of resources, but in the end, that's a dude in a rubber suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a like. I don't mean to. Like, one of my favorite lines and how it brings up characters like this and why 9 times out of 10 I like these characters more than I like people with superpowers. Like, the most superpowered person that I like, honestly, as my favorite is Cap. And he basically just has a really clean version of steroids. And is from Justice League Unlimited. When Superman is talking to Darkseid. And he's trying to tell Batman to stand down. And he's like, that man, as long as he could draw breath, will never stop fighting. And that, to me, is one of the biggest and best qualities a hero can have. Mm-hmm. It don't matter what crap you have. If you don't have the will to keep going, you're useless.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, and they get on the ground, and then like all the shit starts, all of it. And the first thing you see is like, all right, what side is Jack on? Immediately, tracksuits come out. He just brandishes a saber in the middle of County Square. It just starts going to town. I'm going to find your mother. Yeah, yeah. He's such a douchebag, but he's so lovable.
He's just perfect.
I need him in more series. I hope that somehow he is like an ancillary dude that is somehow always there with Kate.
Oh my god, yes.
He's like, because he didn't need a costume. He didn't need a big arc. He didn't need all this important stuff. He was just a guy that was there. He was one of the most unimportant characters in this entire show. He was supposed to be, but in the grand scheme of things, that dude didn't mean anything. He was a guy that got accused of murder and didn't do it. That's all he was.
Like, I think the only reason why he's in this show is because of his connection to Hawkeye in the comics.
Exactly. And it was just, yeah, why not? It'll be a really cool thing. Let's do it.
Meanwhile, Eleanor here, it turns out that she's not Madame Mask as far as we know.
Yet.
But
season 2.
But I'm gonna be honest, as much as I love Vera Farmiga, she kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And she pulls the very tired cliche of, I was doing it to protect you.
You were trying to kill the guy that inspired me to be stronger and be a hero to protect me? To put me in the line of fire of a hired assassin? Huh? I'm sorry. That's not how that works.
Nope.
Not even close. I hate that line. I get it. They were going to use it. And I just love, is that what heroes do in the arrest their mothers on Christmas? Yes. I'm sorry. We're not having this argument. You're going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
They were very good with that, showing off the skating rink standoff at the very beginning to make you think that was them fighting Yelena.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's one of the things you see in the trailer for the show. It was one of the first shots they've ever had. And also, they didn't have the mask. But Hawkeye's get-up's pretty good. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. They got the classic little shape in there, and I was okay with that. But just the utter stupidity of those arrows. They had everything short of a boxing glove arrow, which is somehow exclusive to Green Arrow.
And I'm okay with that.
I am too.
I'm okay with Ollie having a little bit of ownership for that.
Yeah. It was like everything else. They had like a freaking a shot down porcupine, freaking needle shooter, the borderline Batman Forever buzz thing.
Like the magnet arrow.
The magnet arrow, that one was so cool. The freaking random giant beanbag bounce chair one. An acid arrow when she shoots him out of the tree. The freaking Pym arrow when they shrink the van. What happens now? Yeah, I didn't really get to talking to Scott about that part. Then the owl just takes him away. Like, that's a lot darker than some people are thinking, because that dude's eaten.
Mm-hmm.
That owl fed that dude's kids.
By the way, that how adorable is that tree owl?
Oh, it was great. Owls are awesome. Owls are that. I would thought that was so cool. I was like, please don't do the stupid sitcom thing of where the owl tries pecking like Hawkeye's eyes out, because funny, owls are going against hawks and whatever it's. But like, yeah, it was great. Yeah, two raptors of the sky helping each other out. Those of you that don't know, raptor actually means bird of prey. I didn't know that, honestly, until I was like 16. I felt really stupid, but raptor is another way of basically saying bird of prey.
Interesting.
I did not know that for the longest time, because I'd heard people in one of my science classes refer to as a hawk and a falcon as raptors. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then it's like, oh, it's just another way of describing it. I'm like, huh. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, that it was just so cool that like they knew the whole time that they wanted to waste a budget on something, and they saved it for the arrows just to make them seem great. And they took out probably like 100 people in total,
yeah, about.
If not the entire tracksuit mafia. It's kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite, I don't know if you can call it a kill, but when Clint put all like the explosives in the office, and the tracksuit mafia just comes in.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Which, my favorite line of dialogue, I think, in a Marvel movie, Marvel property, period, ever, is when they go through all this, and Hawkeye is on one end of the skating rink, and Kazi and those two goons are on the other side, and he triple twines that arrow, and it busts through and it kills the other two guys, and he grabs it, and he goes, nice shot, and Hawkeye goes just, yeah, no shit!
And that's when Echo comes back.
And she's good! All it took was common sense! I love that! Jeremy Renner is the ultimate let's talk for 5 minutes and you'll see this is dumb. His superpower is making people realize they're on the wrong side.
Actually, yeah, he did this like ever since Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and he did it before Age of Ultron, because he's the dude that saved Natasha.
Oh, yep.
Ever since Nat.
And wouldn't you say he kind of saved Thor in his first appearance? Or he just kind of stood down because he realized he's not a threat?
He realized he was not a threat. Hawkeye is very much a person who, once Nat, the whole situation with Nat happened, it was very much you're not getting a kill shot unless you deserve it type of thing, but I will kill you if need be necessary, which is my favorite kind of hero. I'm not going to kill you because I don't need to, but know damn well that I could. It's that and the Daredevil, Batman, and there's a couple other ones where I'm not going to kill you, but your hospital bills are going to.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite varieties.
It is, because guess what? That person might turn their heart around when they realize they got turned into an accordion just for robbing a grocery store. There's consequences. But yeah, that one thing that I was looking forward to, and the show nailed it, was the conversation with Yelena and Clint about how everything went down.
This was perfect.
Go ahead.
It was perfect for two reasons. One, naturally, she's not going to believe him. But like in that entire moment, she goes through like the five stages of grief.
Mm-hmm. She does.
You've got the denial, you've got the anger. There's a little bit of bargaining,
a little bit,
depression, and then acceptance.
And they did. I love that Clint didn't even try. He's like, listen, you were not going to believe me if I told you. And they get over everything, and he still didn't try explaining it because it would just ruin it, and it didn't matter. And all that caps it off is that whistle, and it was perfect. Again, all Hawkeye needs is like 3 sentences, and he could talk down anyone. It's kind of nuts. And I just... And the only thing that at the end that she was mad about is that Clint got to spend more time with her than him, with her than she did.
And that's a perfectly understandable reason to be upset.
Absolutely. And Clint's like, I bet Clint would have gladly taken another 10 hits just for that. And he would have been like, take your day out. It doesn't matter. Like, if we need to help get over this, let's do it. Just, it was perfect. Those two hashed out their differences. It wasn't some overdrawn thing where she had to have a gun to his head and blah, blah, blah. Give or take, there was one still pointed. It wasn't an overdrawn Hollywood version of it. It was just honest, which is what I wanted. And we get Yelena's good, Jack's good. Now Echo's good. We are assembling a team of street level badasses very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's New York is getting real big. People that don't know, Marvel's New York is normally real big and filled with a lot of people. You could rob a car and get stopped by anyone from Moon Knight to Ghost Rider. But
and just the fact that like now that the series is over, it is completely understandable why they greenlit a spin-off for Echo.
Yeah. Because now we could have Echo the entire time dealing with stuff with Fisk and the tracksuits. And now it's Echo's in charge. And like, man, if they pull off a cool version of that white handprint on Echo's face, that could be really awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the battle with Fisk and Kate gets the shit kicked out of her, by the way.
Oh, there were plenty of times where she gets hit, and I'm just kind of like basically saying to myself, like, ouch. Like,
yeah.
you can feel every time he like punches her or like picks her up and throws her across the room.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, we're going to establish how tough this Kingpin is. What is the first thing that he does? Doesn't even flinch when he takes an arrow right through his sternum. And he doesn't pull it out. He breaks it off. He's just perfectly okay with a good foot of arrows stuck in his chest. I reiterate to everyone who thinks this Kingpin is not Kingpin, shut the hell up.
That is Kingpin.
He then gets hit at about 50 miles an hour by a fully equipped sedan, goes through a building, and gets up within seconds. That is Kingpin. He gets hit multiple times with explosives that have killed groups of 20s, of 30s, of aliens, of random stuff. It's Kingpin, people. He got put in an extreme situation to make sure that Kate wouldn't die. This is Kingpin. Stop bitching.
And before he even gets hit with the sedan, like, did you notice him ripping off the car door?
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. I was half expecting him to throw the freaking car door at Kate. Oh, it's just people need to, just because immediately the person doesn't do the cool thing you wanted within the first 5 minutes of you seeing them, it's called development, people. And guess what? In these stories, unless you want every hero to die in every moment, the cool villain you like has to lose sometimes. That's how storytelling works.
Mm-hmm.
people need to get that. And the more these comic book stories and these big movies happen, the more that reality escapes people's minds. And it blows my mind how people don't understand that.
Like the villains have to lose so they have something to come back for.
Exactly. And they can look even more badass from. And I don't know how much more badass you look than you took something that easily could have killed 100 people and blinked. That's his start to Kingpin. Like, come on. Are you for real? One of the coolest arrows, and I don't know how they like another thing where this thing started out like what I want to say started out realistic, and then just kind of went, oh well. It's when she shoots that arrow and just random assortment of cables just close off that hole.
Yeah, I don't know how she did that, but it just looked so cool.
It did, and that's where like it got to the point where it's like, hey, we're also a comic book based property, and these trick arrows are going to be trick arrows, and we don't need to explain them. And they don't try to explain them, which is what makes me happy, because you're either going to go two routes. You're going to try to explain them, and then you're going to break your own rules later, or you're just going to go, it's a trick arrow, and it did that because it's programmed to, which I'm okay with that. If you're just going to say that's what it does, that's what it does.
That, and I think putting Stark labels on like the arrowheads, it kind of does the explaining for you.
It does, because you're like, it's nanotech. It can do whatever. It was
also great. the coin toss.
Oh yeah,
paid off.
Oh, that was so good. It's just like, the fact it was with one of Kingpin's cufflinks too. I was like,
made it even better.
Great. All she does is she needed a cufflink, and it goes back to training from Hawkeye. Hawkeye in comics, there's moments where he's ripped off his own fingernails and used them as projectiles at people. And that lessons get taught. Yeah, I'm not making that up either. It's gross, but it's been done. And you get all that gets paid off. You get the shot with Maya, the literal shot with Maya with Kingpin, to where he's going to think he's dead, but then probably comes back as the monster that everyone's waiting for, which again, character development. It works well when you let it go. And yeah, this is my favorite Disney Plus series.
I think it's mine as well.
It's so good.
Like,
it did everything it needed to.
Like Loki was something I really enjoyed, and it's probably the most like it's probably the most like heady and complex series, but this was just pure fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it didn't take itself too seriously and only did what it wanted to, which is perfectly fine. If you're just setting out to do a couple things, you don't need to be this grand bombastic, over the top, we accomplish everything show. Just do what you need to, and that's fine. I will never complain about that. And so we need to get to the point that killed Colton Hunt's soul.
Yeah.
They take Kate home, which basically I think he's borderline adopting Kate, not like borderline, like she's just basically going to live with Hawkeye and like become better and train, which is awesome, because that gladly opens up a season 2 of this where they're doing different things for different reasons. Or if Kate's in a Young Avengers, she's been hanging out with Clint and stuff like that. But so I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I know that I've mentioned to you is that Adrienne Palicki, and she's one of my favorite actresses. She's not in enough stuff, but she was Mockingbird.
Yep. I knew that.
She was Mockingbird in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I didn't really watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I was happy for her that she got work. And then I was close. People, there's a moment in one of these past reviews, I don't remember which one it was, but I stopped myself from saying something where I was like, you know what, whatever. And in my head, I'm still not going to say who that watch belonged to in my head, because it was whatever. But it was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And then it turns out that watch did belong to a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. His wife is Mockingbird, which is a comic book thing that I didn't think they were going to do.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy as a fan of Linda Cardellini that is who she is now.
And if we we said this right before going on camera, I would be willing to bet a significant chunk of my next paycheck that within the next 6 months, there is rumblings about a Mockingbird Disney Plus show or an announcement of Hawkeye season 2 that she's going to suit up as Mockingbird, and Linda getting a bigger role to be something like that where they're filling out these slots where it should be is awesome. But one thing,
just to throw a bone to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, I'm reading on Mockingbird's Wikipedia page, and it says the back of the watch has the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo and marking of Agent 19, which serves as a reference to Mockingbird, indicating Laura to have been Bobby's predecessor. So prior to her retirement. So,
okay.
Again, throwing a bone to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans.
Okay, so maybe it didn't completely decanonize Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but hey, maybe that could show that they might bring in the one thing from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that a lot of people really liked. Because if I'm not mistaken, people could correct me on this. I believe that her and a couple others were set to get a spin-off from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I vaguely remember something like that.
And then it ended up getting canned because I believe they kind of finally realized that they weren't as committed to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as they thought they were. But yeah, if you want to give Adrian Pilecki some work, I'm not going to complain. But yeah, if she's her predecessor, that's a cool way of tying that in. It means that she wouldn't have to suit up all the time, but every now and then, if Linda Cardellini needs to kick the shit out of somebody, they can show her kicking the shit out of somebody.
Yep.
Which is a hell of a thing going from Velma to Mockingbird. A lot of people remember that. I bring up that Linda Cardellini was Velma in those Scooby-Doo movies, and they're like, no, she wasn't. I'm like, no, go back. Yeah, she was.
She definitely was.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. And they named the dog Lucky. I don't remember if that's a comic book thing or not, but
it is.
It is? Okay, cool. Nice.
Awesome. His official name in the comics is Lucky the Pizza Dog.
Lucky the Pizza Dog. Nice. That's awesome. I like that. Such a good pup. And now he's going to be living with them. And it's so good. It's just proper adaptations of things, taking what you need and doing the cool stuff from them while adding your own twist. That's what I like about stuff like this. This is done incredibly well.
Also, ending Jack's arc with joining the LARPers.
That was great. You ever thought about LARPing? Is that like a leisure activity? He's so high up that he has no idea what anyone who is not a rich socialite does. The LARPers fighting along with them a little bit.
I love it.
Yeah, that was great.
Now watch. If we do get a season 2 and we cut to Jack with the LARPers, he's going to have the comic book costume.
Oh yeah, and he will have an excuse for why he has it.
Yep.
And there would be this there wouldn't be a why did we have this normal guy in the middle of nowhere dressed up like an absolute moron? No, he got to be friends with LARPers, and that's why he has the super ridiculous Hunter costume. So it makes sense. They use simple ways to get away with comic book looks and to modernize them, stuff like that. It's done simply. It's not like they went out of their way. It's all of a sudden like, wow, that guy fights with a sword. He's kind of cool. He's a good guy. He's helping. Want to come hang out with us?
I love the LARPers so much.
They're so good. They introduced 2 of the coolest groups in in Marvel, the LARPers and the freaking Tracksuit Mafia in this thing. And we only got for right now, we only got them for 6 episodes. They were awesome. And yeah, always leave me wanting more. That's what you got to say. And I want more.
There's one more thing we have to talk about before we wrap this up.
Musical.
Everyone has asked for Rogers the musical.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, because that is kind of a big undertaking, they only wrote one song.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, that is a song.
It's a song, and they did that on purpose. They were only going to show part of it because they're like, everyone's going to be like, well, this is dumb. They didn't do the whole musical just so they could show it at the end. They did that 1,000% on purpose.
Yep.
So we're just like, here's your end credit scene. Da, 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 da.
And it was perfect.
Oh, it was great. It was so good. Oh, now I understand why it's called Steve Rogers the Musical, because you like the way that you get to see more of it. Like they showed the parts that was more Avengers eccentric at the end, which is why I was confused. But like, yeah, and like you said, with the theater tie-in background, it made more sense to call it Rogers. But yeah, it was good. I'd like to see an entire actual play of that. I'm not a huge plays person, but that I would go watch.
Same.
Yeah, that puts another wrap on a Disney Plus series. Nice and smooth, over in a jiff, and it didn't overstay its welcome.
The next one won't be for another couple months.
What is the next one?
Let me take a look first.
Oh, shoot.
Television series. Okay, so the next one looks to be Moon Knight.
Oh, that makes sense. They already had trailer cam footage for that.
So I'm gonna guess that we're gonna see this in like February or March.
Sounds about right. I guess late February, early March.
Yeah.
They seem to space these out by a few months.
And then obviously Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
That trailer, dude. I wanted Shumagorath, and I got a freaking story tall of Shumagorath.
We got to see Baron Mordo with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
We get to see evil Doctor Strange.
Oh, man. And you got to see America Chavez for a little bit, or like 2 seconds.
Yep.
That was in the theater. I was with my old youth pastor. He's like, who was the chick with the star or with the cap shield? I'm like, you wouldn't know if I told you. You'll get to see her eventually. Oh, man.
Phase 4 so far has it has the variety of Phase 1, but with like the grandeur of Phase 3.
Phase 4 is so big. Right at this current moment, we have had how many shows already?
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had 5 if you count What If.
Yep.
We have had 4 movies.
Yep.
And actually, yeah, that's it. We had WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and then Hawkeye. And then the movies, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And we packed a lot into this year.
Yeah, and that was 1 year.
1 year from one studio.
Or one studio. You remember when it was a big deal when they're like, guys, we're thinking of doing 2 movies a year. It's gonna be a lot. I know, it's gonna be a lot. But I think we can handle it. This is such a fine-tuned production company at this point, to where we're gonna get like 4 to 5 movies a year plus 4 to 5 series, and I don't feel overwhelmed.
Me neither.
Like I made the joke that they're drunk with power and they can't be stopped, but all this stuff is spaced out. I don't feel like it's every other week something's coming up. It's at least a few months in between each of these, and by the time the next one comes up, I'm like, yeah, I'm raring to see something again. They give it enough breathing room to where you don't get sick of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're also a Star Wars fan, the Book of Boba Fett's next week, but who knows if we'll be covering that one.
We'll have to see. I'm not the hugest Star Wars person, but if you're up for wanting to cover something like that, I'd be okay with it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
For now, though, I'm just super happy with a Hawkeye show that was it's struck that fine line between, you know, pulling material closer to fractions from the comics, while also pulling directly from previous films in the MCU, and that combination was perfect.
Absolutely. They're become the masters of adaptation at this point. They had some bumps in the road early on in the first few phases with stuff, but like I said, this has become a very fine-tuned machine. And I can't even put into words how spoiled we are with stuff just from Disney alone. For like $20 a month, I have Hulu, commercial free, ESPN, and Disney Plus, and the amount of stuff that I'm getting from just all that,
it's overwhelming.
it's overwhelming. It's ridiculous. And people are like, still to this day, ask me how I'm okay with not having regular cable anymore. Excuse me. I need 2 subscription services, and I have more than I ever would have watched with cable.
Cord cutting is the way of the future.
It is. I mean, and it's like everything that I watched on TV, I could watch on their website the next day. It's kind of ridiculous how those things are still a thing. Subscription services with video games, not so much. Not a big fan of that, but movies and stuff like that, it's pretty good when you have the companies that actually have something to offer. Like little things like Ted Lasso being on Apple TV Plus, that irritates because Ted Lasso's great. Anyone who's not watched Ted Lasso, get off your ass and go watch Ted Lasso. I had no idea how good it was. I just heard John Campea rant and rave about how good it is. And it is one of the most wholesome, amazingly well-written shows that I've seen in my life. Ted Lasso is off the charts good. But anyway, this is, again, the end of another series for Marvel. And it's going to be Doctor Strange next time we see, at least for this, right?
If Moon Knight doesn't come before it, then yeah, it will be Doctor Strange next.
Alrighty then. Well, I guess oh crap, what am I doing? Not yet. What am I doing? I'm losing my mind. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You need to escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, because when I upload this, it will be tomorrow and I will be streaming that night. So when this goes up, if you're watching this earlier in the day, I'll be probably streaming about 3 hours after this is done. So yeah, until next time, everybody, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.